The fallout from the first U.S. presidential debate grows as voters weigh the positives and negatives of each candidate. Today, the New York Times issued a report slammed by the president's administration that Joe Biden is deciding whether to stay in the race. Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris met with Democratic leaders Wednesday to talk about his campaign. The president has acknowledged his poor performances and blames it on his constant traveling overseas. Rockford University political science professor Ron Lee says it will take a lot for President Biden to step down from the race.
There's a lot of campaigns still to go. Of course, a lot of people are looking at the August Democratic National Convention. It's going to be virtually impossible to remove him from the ticket if he doesn't make that choice himself.